Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Sunday. I hope the weekend is going well wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. It's certainly going over here, in England after yesterday's dramatic win against Switzerland at the Euros. Thanks to one man, that man, of course, Bukayo Saka. What a heroic performance from him, salvaging something for England, continuing their run in this tournament and getting through to the semi-finals where they will play Holland after their win against Turkey yesterday. So we've got to talk about Bukayo Saka. I'm going to pay homage to Bukayo Saka in today's video because, I mean, if anyone deserves it, it's Bukayo Saka. What a guy, what a man, what a player. And he just deserves some flowers. So he's going to get them from me today. We're also going to talk about William Saliba. Of course, the usual, the stories we're all expecting have started. Real Madrid being linked with a move for William Saliba. What a surprise. So we'll talk about that a little bit in the show. We'll talk about Gabriel. We've got some reaction from you guys from what we were talking about yesterday as well, and a little bit on Mika, an interesting bit of insight into Mika and that transfer fee from an Austrian Arsenal fan who's got in touch to give his thoughts on it as well. But let's start, shall we, on this man, Bukayo Saka, star boy, doing it once again for England. Has now scored 12 England goals. That's the joint most by any Arsenal player, level with the great Cliff Bastin. Also becomes the first Arsenal player to score at both a Euros and a World Cup. I mean, what more can you say about the kid? He is just such a special player and a special person. Not only did he salvage something for England with that wonderful goal, absolute spitting image of his goal against Manchester United, wasn't it, a couple of seasons ago, managing to get England through to penalty shootouts, but then having the nerve after everything that happened against Italy at the Euros a few years ago back at Wembley, to have the nerve to step up again and take that penalty. I was so nervous for him, honestly. And I know you would have all felt exactly the same. When the camera flashed and it was him taking it, I knew it was probably going to happen because I had no doubt in my mind that he would put himself forward to take a penalty. But when the camera flashed up and it was him walking up with the ball in his hand for that third penalty, I was so nervous. I felt physically sick. The thought of him missing it after everything that he'd gone through, and knowing what would have come his way again, because such is the world we live in now, especially when it comes to social media. I was so nervous for him. I didn't need to be, because he was always scoring, because he's just absolutely elite, and he tucked it away and he banished some demons. And what he said afterwards was fantastic. I thought we'll talk about that in a minute. And England obviously going on to win the penalty, Trent Alexander scoring it and setting up that semi-final. England weren't great by any means, but they were better than they had been. I thought they really tired in the second half. I didn't understand, again, Gareth Southgate's lack of substitutions at times, especially in that second half. But hey, it's Gareth Southgate. It is what it is. He's not going to change all of a sudden now in these last couple of games that he's got as England manager. But Saka was England's best threat all afternoon. He started on the right. We were all expecting him to start on the left, but he started as a right wing back. And he had the fullback, beat him so many times in that first half. As England sort of tired, I thought, in the second half and ran out of ideas, they didn't get the ball to him enough. And so he went out of the game a little bit, but then he popped up with that huge moment just after Switzerland had scored, only 10 minutes to go. And he pops up, just takes the initiative, and he scores the goal, has the quality in that situation to find the far corner, score the goal to bring England back into the game, bring them back into the tournament. And then, of course, they went on and win the shootout. But this is a quote from Saka after the game about the penalty. And I just think this is such an important message. And it's so classic Saka, because he's just, listen to Gareth Southgate after the game when he talked about Saka, and he just talked about how special a kid he is. And anyone you speak to, honestly, anyone you speak to at Arsenal, on the coaching staff, his teammates, his friends, his old school teachers who I've interviewed before for features I've done on Bukayo Saka, they all say the same thing about him. He is just a wonderful person. And in my, I don't know Saka. I've worked alongside him. I've interviewed him plenty of times, but I don't have the privilege of knowing Bukayo Saka. But from my brief dealings that I have with him as a journalist covering Arsenal, he is just the one guy who just stands out above absolutely everyone. The respect he gives you, the way he talks to you, he's just such a special person. And this message, I thought, was so important that he set out after that penalty shootout goal. So the media asked him about stepping up after what happened against Italy, and he said, look, it's something I embrace. You can fail once, and you have a choice over whether you put yourself in that position again. And I'm a guy who's going to put myself in that position. I believed in myself, and when I saw the ball hit the net, I was a very happy man. Then he went on to say, look, we have 2 more games left now. We can change our lives and make some history that's never been made before. We're really focused on that. We're going to enjoy tonight, watch the Netherlands-Turkey game and see who we're facing. Of course, that's going to be Netherlands. But that first message of that you can fail, and he said in other interviews, he said things similar. It's like, look, you have 2 choices. You can fail and not try again, or you can just get back on it and try again. And he will choose the latest thing. And he said, look, I hope that's an important message that people can pick up. And it is. It's such an important message. Of course it is. You can fail, but you can always go again. Failing doesn't mean giving up and not trying again. And he's just such a wonderful role model for absolutely everyone in all walks of life, not just football, all walks of life. Bukayo Saka, footballers get a lot of grief, and some of them are idiots. They have too much money and they're idiots, but some of them are very, very special people. And Bukayo Saka, he's just a special person. Wonderful representation of Arsenal and an absolute wonderful representation of England as well, especially when England, there's so much stuff at the moment politically and everything that's just horrible. And then you've got someone like Bukayo Saka, just this shining light, this poster boy of what modern England is. And it's just fantastic to see. Absolutely fan. I'm so happy for him. So happy for him. And roll on the semi-finals on Wednesday night. So now we know France versus Spain, England versus the Netherlands. Who is going to make the final? Will England be able to get the job done? Fingers crossed from an England fan, of course. I'm sure plenty of you are watching from elsewhere in the world and you won't want England to win, but I certainly do. And was very, very happy last night, as you can probably tell from this. A little bit of reaction from Lewis here. Says Foden virtually nowhere. Kane may as well not played. Palmer was shocking when he came on. I don't think Palmer was shocking. I thought he did all right. Bellingham had a few moments of brightness, but nothing special. Rice was Mr. Consistent and Starboy unbelievable yet again. Player of the tournament for England, no doubt in my mind. Yeah, I thought Declan Rice was very good yesterday as well. Kane was horrifically bad. I don't get how Gareth Southgate could watch that game as the second half was progressing. Switzerland were getting on top, and not think you had to change Harry Kane. It was just walking man's football from Harry Kane. If that, at times, there was no movement. He was offering nothing for England attack. I get it's Harry Kane, and so you think, if I leave him on, the ball might fall to him in a box and he'll score. But you can't just rely on that. If something's clearly not working, I just think you put Ollie Watkins in that central striker role and it changes this England team completely. The movement, the pacing behind, the threat to the centre-backs. Kane, it was a horrifically bad performance from Harry Kane yesterday. I thought Foden was all right. I thought he got on the ball a little more. I thought it was England's best performance at the Euros, I have to say. That's it's not a high bar to set, given they've been absolutely dreadful the whole way through it. But I thought there was signs that it was slightly better, and I imagine Gareth's going to keep it the same for the game on Wednesday night. William Saliba, obviously being linked with Real Madrid, not loads, but there have been the last 24 hours been some suggestions that Real are now watching him and that Arsenal don't, and that Real don't think he's untouchable at Arsenal, and that it could be 100. I saw a figure of 113 million, but obviously that's not going to happen this summer. These transfer stories were always going to happen with Saliba. When you've got a player who's clearly, in my view, the best player in the world in their position, then they're going to start getting linked with everyone. It's just inevitable, and it was always going to happen with William Saliba. Don't think any way that he goes this summer, but it's just something we're going to have to accept as Arsenal fans. We had to accept it way back when Patrick Vieira was just the absolute best midfielder there was on the planet. And of course, every single summer, every single transfer window, it was Saliba's going to Real Madrid. Saliba's going to Real Madrid. Had it with Anelka as well, and we're going to have it with William Saliba. It's just inevitable, and hopefully, fingers crossed, Arsenal can just show him that he doesn't need to go anywhere to win the best trophies that there are on this earth, and he can stay at Arsenal for a long time. Do I think he'll stay at Arsenal forever? No, because I just don't think he will. Footballers very rarely do. It's just a realistic viewpoint of it. But absolutely going nowhere soon. Keep him, get him signed to a new contract, and keep this defence rolling on. Tweet Ranking here got in touch, said, who would be the Saliba replacement? Have we thought about that? I'm presuming here, Tweet Ranking, that you're talking about if he gets injured in the season, not if he gets sold, because he's clearly not going to get sold. So I'm presuming you mean about if he gets injured, because obviously Arsenal got lots of options for a left-sided centre-back if someone gets injured, but maybe with Saliba, not so much. And I agree, you're right. I imagine it probably involves either Tomiyasu playing there or Ben White moving to be the right-sided centre-back and then playing Tomiyasu Timber as the right fullback. I mean, Timber could play there as well. So there are replacements for William Saliba. Hopefully we don't need him. Hopefully he can have another injury-free season like the one he's just had. But there are options, out there. Admittedly, not as maybe plentiful as there are on the left side of the defence, but there's certainly options. I mean, Ben White, obviously, at the start of last season, when Ben was moved in and played on that right-sided role when Thomas Partey was playing as that inverted fullback. So I imagine Ben White's probably first choice when it comes to it, because Arsenal have got plenty of options to play at right fullback if you do need to move Ben White inside. Barack Aubameyang has got in touch. Said, "I love watching you every morning. Thank you very much. Appreciate that." You said, "Don't want to hear any talk about selling Gabriel. He's one of the best centre-backs in the world, and his partnership is crucial for Saliba's success as well. It's very likely we'll lose Saliba to one of those mega clubs in the next couple of years, and it would be catastrophic if we wake up in a year or two and suddenly have neither of them. Is Saliba's future something the club would take into account when entertaining offers for Gabriel? I've watched too many minutes of Mustafi and Lichtsteiner to watch our beautiful defence get sold away to Madrid and Saudi Arabia." Look, I echo everything you said. As I just pointed out, I'm sure that clubs like Real Madrid are going to come knocking for Saliba at some time. It is just inevitable. Hopefully, Arsenal don't buckle and he stays. But yes, I agree. Gabriel, they shouldn't entertain anything. But look, money talks when it comes to football. And if someone from Saudi Arabia comes in and offers £100 million for Gabriel, it wouldn't surprise me if Arsenal took it, just because it's football. But I absolutely don't want it to happen, and I hope it doesn't happen. I've heard nothing to suggest yet that Saudi are going to come knocking for Gabriel again this summer. And it would be, I agree, Arsenal have got the best two centre-backs in England, in my view. It's the best centre-back partnership there is. And if Arsenal are going to go on and win this league, which I really hope they do, then those two are going to be so important to it. And so you just do not want it broken up at all. Just continue to build, let them grow together over the next couple of years. Just imagine how good they are going to be. They play so well together. They complement each other so perfectly. Yeah, it would be such a shame. And like you, I mean, we've had to endure some very, very bad Arsenal defences in the last 20 years or so since the great Invincibles started to get broken up. That it's so nice to finally be able to look on the team sheet on a Saturday, see those two at the heart of the defence with Ben White alongside them, with Declan Rice in front of them, and just think teams are going to really, really struggle to score against Arsenal today. And it's been a long time since we've been able to say that. So absolutely reject all bids, keep them, grow this team with those two as the two centre-backs. I thought this was an interesting one to point out before I cut this one short today. Senga 1979. Apologies if I got that pronunciation very, very wrong. He's talking about Mika Biereth, who obviously is on the verge of signing for Sturm Graz in a $4 million deal after his successful loan spell there last season. He says, "Being an Austrian fan, I can confirm that $4 million is a decent sum for the Austrian Bundesliga. I think that's the most a club apart from RB Salzburg has ever paid for a player. And it's not much less than Salzburg paid for a certain Erling Haaland back in the day. Plus, it wasn't like Biereth tore the Austrian Bundesliga apart. He did well and contributed to Sturm's title win, but he wasn't their best player." So, yeah, I thought that was quite an interesting bit of context in terms of the deal that Arsenal are about to do with Sturm Graz. It's not done yet. It's not finalised yet. It is expected to be finalised. It is going to be around $4 million, which is a club record for Sturm Graz. And Arsenal are going to have a decent sell-on clause in there as well. So you'd imagine if he does do it, if he is a success over there and they do end up selling him for decent money in 1-2 years' time, then Arsenal would have protected themselves by having a nice sell-on clause. So they're going to bring more money into the club. So although it looks like $4 million now, you would hope it might end up being double that or something a little bit further down the line for a player who's never played for Arsenal and has had just a decent 6 months on loan over in Austria. So I thought that was an interesting point to make on it, but I'd love to get your views on that and anything else I've discussed in today's show. Give me your pay homage to Bukayo Saka in the comments. What does he mean to you? What did it make you feel like seeing him have a moment like that for England yesterday? Whether you're English or not, please do let me know in the comments below, because I think Bukayo Saka is someone that we should all celebrate. He's such a special talent. That's it from me. Bit of a short one today. I hope you have a very good end to your weekend, whether you're watching or listening to this around the world. I'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again as we begin another week. Speak to you soon, everyone. Bye-bye.